Okay, so I'm going to be talking about charge controllers. There are two major types of charge controllers, which is MPPT and the PWM. The PWM is pulse width modulation. I'll tell you why it's pulse width modulation. And then you have the MPPT, which is maximum power point tracking. So let's look at the charge controller. First of all, why does the charge controller exist? So here's the major reason why your charge controller exists. Picture the charge controller like the middleman between the solar panels and the battery. Now, the solar panels are designed to be high voltage and low current, while the battery is designed to store charge. So the battery is high current, low voltage. So if you have a 6,000 watt array of solar panels, like around 10 pieces of 600 watt solar panels connected together, if you have a 2P 5S connection like the one you see on your screen, that means you're going to be having an output of around 6,000 watts. But it's going to be 5 times the voltage of each panel because you have 5 connected in series, and then it's going to be 2 times the current of the solar panel because you have 2 strings of solar panels connected in parallel. So your main output is going to be 6,000 watts, but the 6,000 watts is going to be in form of 250 volts output and 24 amp of current. Assuming you have this being connected to a 15 kilowatts battery, that's a 15,000 watt system, the battery has a voltage of around 50 volts, which is roughly the voltage of each of the solar panels that are connected together. Because solar panels are designed to be outdoor, while the battery unit is designed to be indoor, you'll be expecting a long length of wire running from the solar panels to the battery. And when you're transmitting power over a long length of wires, you want to keep the current as low as possible while dealing with the voltage. So it's good to have a higher voltage provided you have a lower current if you're dealing with long wiring setups. That's where you can prevent losses that are caused by heat, because these cables have internal resistance, and internal resistance increases with the length of the cable. So when you have high current running through cables, you have a lot of loss. So solar panels are designed to carry high voltage because they are designed to go in series. So you can run down a thinner amount of wire from the position of your solar panels, whether it's on the roof or on an external structure. You can run that power through a long cable that is as thin as possible. That way you get to save costs on your installation. Now, how do you reconcile this 6,000 watts that is high voltage and low current with this battery that is high current and low voltage? Batteries are usually low voltage, high current because they store charge, and charge has to do with current. Current is the load carrying capacity of the power, while voltage is the force at which that power is being transmitted. I'm going to do a separate video that would explain why all these things are happening the way they are, explain voltage and current in a bit more detail. But in a bit to reconcile the high voltage that comes from the solar panel to the low voltage which the battery runs on, that is where you have the charge controller. And yes, despite the fact that these solar panels are outputting a lower power than what the battery can store, the power is in form of high voltage, while the power output of the battery is in form of low voltage. A lot can go wrong. Now, there's a reason why voltage is called potential difference. Voltage flows from a region of higher concentration down to a region of lower concentration. If you have a higher voltage battery connected to a lower voltage battery, power is going to flow from the battery that has a higher voltage down to the battery that has the lower voltage. And even when the battery that has the lower voltage is full, the power will keep trying to flow because there is still a potential difference between the voltage here and the voltage here. They are not yet equal. So the only time a battery can be full and then when it is fully to stop charging is if the charging source and the battery full power are in the same level. That way there is no power flow because there is no longer a potential difference. There is no difference between voltage level of the receiver and the voltage level of the producer. So voltage kind of works like a seesaw where the power is a ball that can roll from the part of the seesaw that goes up to the part that goes down, and like that. This system also helps us to know the kind of charger that is right for a particular battery. If you get the battery full voltage, that's the amount of voltage that the battery would be at when it is full. That is the exact voltage that you need from the charger, so that once it is balanced, the power will stop flowing and the battery is full. But if you exceed that voltage, the charger would keep trying to charge the battery, and then what would eventually happen is that the battery is either going to swell up or explode. Now imagine that this solar panel has the capacity to pump out 250 volts to a battery of 48 volts. What happens when the battery gets full? There is still a potential difference between what the solar panel is producing and what the battery is in terms of voltage. So the power would keep trying to flow from the solar panel to the battery. So what will happen is that if the battery is LFP, it's going to swell up. The battery is lithium ion polymer, it's going to swell up. If the battery is any of the cobalt, aluminum type, or any of the nickel cobalt type of lithium ion battery, it will simply explode and catch fire. It's going to enter what we call thermal runaway. So your charge controller takes that high voltage and gives out the exact voltage that the battery would be at when it is full. That is the voltage that the battery needs to charge with. So that when the battery is full and it gets to that particular voltage, the voltage of the battery is now the same with the output of the controller. The battery will stop charging because there is no longer a potential difference. So that is the essence of a charge controller, to balance the output of your solar panel to what your battery needs. Now, there are two ways the charge controller does this, and that is why we have two different types of charge controllers, two different designs. The first one is PWM, like we mentioned before. PWM is pulse width management. Let me explain how PWM works. But in a nutshell, PWM takes just what the battery needs. Okay, now if this battery is 48 volts and the solar panel is outputting 250 volts. Remember, the solar panel has 6,000 watts. The battery has 15 kilowatts. So in 3 hours, the battery should be able to charge if this is done properly. So the PWM charge controllers is going to take just 50 volts out of this 240 volts and then convert the excess voltage to heat. That means there is a lot of wastage in this system, and we do not recommend PWM charge controllers because they waste a lot of power. It means you can have a lot of solar panels that are going to be working, but their output is not going to meet up with what they are producing because the PWM is going to waste all that excess energy converting it to heat. So if we had a PWM charge controller, the PWM charge controller is going to charge this battery at the rate of 50 volts or 50.6 volts, depending on the battery full voltage of the configuration of this battery, which is 16S for LFP. That is the particular battery pack we're using for this example. Now, these PWM charge controllers will take 50 volts and it will charge this battery with 24 amp, which is what these solar panels are bringing out in 2P connection. It's going to charge this with 24 amp, 50 volts. Now, if you times 24 by 50, you will see the amount of power that is getting to the battery. It is far less than what these solar panels are bringing out, which means you're getting less power for your investment. That is why we do not recommend PWM charge controllers for any reason. It's an old technology and it should stay that way. PWM should only be used for speed controller for electric motors. With where the technology is right now, we don't encourage anyone doing any installation with a PWM charge controller. It's a waste of resources. So it does this by taking that DC current that flows on a straight line and then creating an on-off pattern. Now, the duration of the on versus the duration of the off is what determines the width of each of these pulses that you're seeing here. So the graph is up, it means it's on. Each time it's down, it means it's off. So it does this many times per second. So it kind of takes a direct current and makes it to act like an alternating current, and then uses the space between the off and on duration within that milliseconds to be able to regulate the amount of power that goes to the battery. That is why it's called pulse width modulation, because it modulates the pulse of this particular graph in the pattern of on off many times per second to be able to drop the excess power that is coming from the solar panel by dropping the excess voltage and then getting the battery charged. Let me show you why MPPT is just so good and why it is the best. Now, MPPT is similar to some of the other technologies that is taking over our gadget space right now, such as the DC to DC buck converters. These are new technologies that are being used in inverters and basically a lot of electronic appliances right now. Why DC-DC buck converters are so good is that they can convert voltage to current with minimal losses. Now, MPPT technology works in the same way. MPPT means maximum power point tracking. Now, beyond the big language, what it's telling you is that it can track the power of the solar panel. Now, not the word track, okay? What I mean by track is simple. It knows the power output that is coming from the solar panel. is 6,000. By right, if all this power can be conveyed to the battery, you should charge this 15 kilowatt battery in at least 3 hours. Now, what the MPPT does is to take the excess voltage and drop it down to 50 volts. But unlike the PWM that will throw the excess power away, the MPPT is going to convert that excess voltage into power and maintain the 6,000 watts. That means what you will have at the battery is going to be 50 volts. And if you divide the 6,000 watt output of the solar panel by that 50 volts, you get the amount of current that is going to be used to charge this battery. Now, this battery is around over 300 amps of current, so we should be able to tolerate at least 100 to 150. If you look at the spec sheet, you can see how much current this battery is recommended to charge with. So the PWM is going to convert all that voltage to current and successfully take the power from point A, which is the solar panel, through the cables to point B, which is the battery. Now, modern inverters like the ones we used to install at Hardware House Ltd don't require external charge controllers. They have inbuilt MPPT. So when you see an inverter with MPPT, it's talking about inbuilt charge controller. It means that this inverter is built with a charge controller inside. Some have as much as 20 MPPTs, different charge controllers for the industrial grade ones. You know the number of MPPT sometimes by the number of strings of solar panel that are separate on the same inverter. That means this inverter has multiple inbuilt MPPT charge controller. It makes the system more compact, it makes the installation easier, and it also saves you cost. Rather than buying two different appliances, two different devices for the installation, you just get to buy one compact solar panel that has inbuilt MPPT charge controller. Another good thing with charge controller is that they work very well with power management systems. That means the inverter can easily take all that power from the solar panel and channel it directly to the house without discharging the batteries at all. So only MPPT can do this because MPPT can draw so much power from the solar panel to be able to do useful work, either to power the house or to charge the battery. So I love the technology. That is what I recommend for every kind of installation, whether inbuilt or external. MPPT charge controllers are the best because of the way they work. They convert voltage to current successfully. There is minimum power wastage compared to the amount of wastage that we have with the PWM charge controllers. As usual, you can give us a call, Hardware House Limited, any size of solar project, whether industrial or domestic, we got you covered. And if you stay outside of Nigeria, especially in the US, you can also give us a call to get some of the best reputable options you can get for grid-tied systems that can enable you earn per kilowatt of how much power you export to the grid. You can also check out the website of our best affiliate, which is Tan Solar, for super batteries like Anker, Ecoflow, everything down to your installation. There are also special packages that can enable you split your payment for like 20 years so that you're paying for your solar installation as much as you're paying for your electricity bill. So it's like still paying your electricity bill, but this time around you're paying for an investment of power in your house. So the same amount of money you pay for your electricity bill, you're just paying that for your solar installation. So you get the setup all installed in your home and you have your power supply that is efficient enough to keep you running without the grid. And while you're paying for that installation, it's the same price with your average electricity bill. But if you pay your electricity bill for a period of 20 years, you have nothing. You've already used that electricity. But if you pay for a solar installation that is made in your home for 20 years, you have a lot of infrastructure that is still there ready to serve you. Batteries, solar panel, inverters, all functioning. My name is Justin. Bye-bye.